Okay, so we've built this API, but there are a couple of issues with this design. Our API receives or returns customer objects. What's wrong with this? Well, this customer object is part of the domain model of our application. It's considered implementation detail, which can change frequently as we implement new features in our application. And these changes can potentially break existing clients that are dependent on the customer object. For example, if we rename or remove a property, this can impact the clients that are dependent on that property. So basically, we need to make the contract of this API as stable as possible. Of course, I'm not saying this contract should never change, but because it's a public contract, it should change at a reasonably slower pace than our domain objects. Now, to solve this issue, we need a different model, which we call a data transfer object, or DTO. This DTO is a plain data structure and is used to transfer data from the client to the server or vice versa. That's why we call it data transfer object. By creating DTOs, we reduce the chances of our API breaking as we refactor our domain model. And of course, we should remember that changing these DTOs can be costly. So when we need to change them, we should plan a proper strategy. Now, this goes in the space of API versioning, which is beyond the scope of this section. What I want you to take away from this lecture is that your APIs should never receive or return domain objects. That's one thing. Another issue is that by using a domain object here, we're opening up security holes in our application. A hacker can easily pass additional data in the JSON and they will be mapped to our domain object. What if one of these properties should not be updated? A hacker can easily bypass this. But if we use a data transfer object, we can simply exclude the properties that can be updated. Now, in Solution Explorer, add a new folder, DTOs. And here we add a new class, customer DTO. Now for the starter, I'm going to go in the customer class and copy all these properties and then paste them here. Import the namespaces, which is system.componentModel.data annotations. Now, we should exclude membership type. Because this is a domain class, and this property here is creating dependency from our DTO to our domain model. So if we change this membership type, this can impact our DTO. So here, we either use primitive types like integer, string, byte, whatever, or custom DTOs. So if you want to return hierarchical data structures, you would create another type called membership type DTO. This way, your DTOs are completely decoupled from your domain objects. So delete. Also, we don't need any of these display attributes because earlier we used them to render labels in our forms. Delete. Delete. That's it. Now back in our controller. So anywhere we return a customer object, we need to map it to a DTO first. And also in the methods where we modify a customer, like create customer or update customer, we need to map this customer DTO properties back to our customer object. Now doing all this mapping by hand can be tedious. So next I will show you how to use AutoMapper to easily map these objects.